CNN legal analyst Carrie Cardero researched that back in 2020, almost 6 years ago, and her conclusions are especially prescient. She wrote, quote, "When the public starts to perceive Homeland Security, including law enforcement activities, as politically motivated, or worse, when these activities actually become politically motivated, it undermines public confidence that law enforcement activities are conducted equally under the law. This state of affairs is corrosive to the rule of law in a functioning democracy." Carrie Cardero joins me now. Carrie, thank you so much for being here. It's, I think, also important to note, just to set the table in this conversation, that the Department of Homeland Security is pretty new. It was only created to put a whole bunch of agencies under one umbrella after 9/11. Because of that, it probably needs to be investigated the way that you did several years ago. You did warn about the kind of situation that's unfolding in Minnesota.
Yeah, Diana, thank you. One of the things that I was looking at back then when we did this research at the Center for New American Security was the fact that the department was created based on a whole bunch of different agencies and put together. What happened is it wasn't built in with the institutional protections that you really need, given the large law enforcement capacity that the department has. Bigger than any of the law enforcement agencies combined in the Department of Justice, for example. DHS is actually the largest law enforcement department in terms of the number of officers that are there. And yet there's not sufficient, in my judgment, and based on the research that we did, oversight, accountability, institutional processes within the department, and they haven't been developed mostly due to a lack of reform to the law that was originally created to create the department about 25 years ago.
And given that, what does it tell you that President Trump announced this morning that he wants Tom Homan, who is his border czar, to now go into Minneapolis, and that he is going to directly report what he sees there and what he does there to the president directly?
I think it might indicate a few things. One is that it might be that the president is starting to lose confidence in the leadership of the department itself, given the way that the activities of ICE, as we all can see on the videos, are not operating in the way that federal law enforcement officers should operate. The other piece that is interesting is, although Homan is the border czar, in my judgment, it should be Border Patrol that, first of all, should be leaving Minneapolis. Border Patrol should be working on the border. Their legal authorities, although over time they've been interpreted to allow them to operate within 100 miles of the border, that is not Minneapolis. They are not trained appropriate to be engaging in law enforcement on American streets. And so I will be curious to see whether Homan, as border czar, facilitates the departure of Border Patrol from inside Minneapolis.
Yeah, that certainly will be interesting. And that was one of the questions I had for Greg Bovino, who is a Border Patrol chief, of whether or not they did have the training for urban policing, which is effectively what they're doing now. And he defended it. He said that they did. We'll see what Tom Homan says. Thank you so much, Carrie Cardero. Really great to have you on.
Thank you, Dana.